Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Language is today I'll discuss the practical subject for third semester BCOM Business Statistics under NEP, that is North Education Program, National Education Program. So like already in my first video I have discussed the difference between the SCP and NEP in detail, that NEP has been implemented in the year 2020, where it is a consist of 100 marks. Out of that 16 marks will be the descriptive, that student have to write the examination, and 40 marks will be given by the teachers as a form of internal. And even have been discussed how that 40 marks it has been divided. So now I'll move on to the question paper pattern with same pattern, but the marks will be differ because SCP it is for 80 marks and NEP it is for 60 marks. So section A, possibility of getting the question 7. Out of that 5 have to write. It is completely based on conceptual question. So this is each question carries 2 marks, that 5 into 2 is 10. Section B, 5 question will be given. Out of that 3 question have to be answered. Each question carries 4 marks, that is application question. Then section C, 5 questions. Out of that 3 have to answer based on analysis and understanding question, that is for each question carries 10 marks, that is 3 into 10, 30 marks. Section D, question completely based on the skill development or lab activity. So any one out of the 2 questions, that each question carries 8 marks. So total will be 60 and 40 will be internal assessment. So subject wise and the possibility of the question together I'll discuss. So module 1 you have the statistical data and descriptive statistics. In there they have syllabus is introduction to data, meaning, types, method of collection of data, classification of data, univariate simple problems on it, bivariate and multivariate data on the concept, no problems under it. Then meaning of central tendency, mathematical averages, arithmetic mean, positional averages, mean and mode. Then graphical determination of mode. So possibility of getting the question for 2 marks under section A, meaning, definition of statistic data, type of data, classification of data, meaning of bivariant, multivariant data, meaning of average, mean and mode, and 2 marks problem on mean, median and mode. And possibility of getting the question for section B for 4 marks, method of collection of primary data, frequency table under the univariant only, computation of mean, any method, computation of median, any method, computation of mode, any method, like under the individual series section, discrete series, then continuous series. Out of that any method you will get it for mean, median and mode. Then possibility of getting the question for section C for 10 marks, computation of mean, median and mode, combine of all the method, then computation of mode, then grouping and analysis table. Then possible of getting the question for section D 8 marks, graphical representation of mode. Then module 2, measure of variation of skewness, meaning of variation, syllabus, meaning of variation, meaning, types, absolute and relative, range, quartile deviation, mean deviation, standard deviation and variance. Skewness meaning, Carl Pearson and Bowley's measures, Curtis's concept, types, theory only. So for 2 marks, they possible of getting the question like meaning, definition of range, quartile deviation, mean deviation, standard deviation and variance. Then range, coefficient of variation, standard deviation, coefficient of variation, body, coefficient of skewness, meaning and kurtosis. Then for 4 marks, section B, computation of range and its coefficient, all these series, computation of quartile deviation and its coefficient under the individual and discrete series only. Then computation of standard deviation and coefficient of variation under individual and discrete series only. Then computation of mean deviation and its coefficient under individual and discrete series only. Then for section C, 10 marks, computation of standard deviation and coefficient of variation, consistency or variability, all the three series. Then computation of mean deviation and its coefficient, all three series. Computation of Pearson coefficient of variance, all three series. Then computation of Bowley coefficient of skewness, all three series. Then possible of getting the question for section D, 8 marks, computation of standard deviation and coefficient of variation. Then computation of Pearson coefficient of skewness under direct and indirect problem. Computation Bowley's coefficient skewness, direct or indirect problem. Then unit 3, probability distribution. Under that syllabus is probability, meaning concept, theory of probability, addition and multiplication, law of probability, constitutional probability and Bayes theorem, theory only, normal distribution theory only. Then possibility of getting the question for 2 marks, meaning of probability, concept of Bayes theorem, concept of normal distribution, then conditional probability. Then for unit section B, 4 marks, you will going to get simple problems on addition law of probability, then simple problems on multiplication law of probability. So there will be no question will be asked from this chapter for section C and D, that is for 10 marks and 8 marks. Then section 4, correlation and regression analysis. It is one of the important chapter. Correlation, discussion of syllabus, meaning, types of correlation, positive and negative, simple, partial, multiple, linear and non-linear, measurement, Pearson coefficient of correlation and probable error, Sparman and rank coefficient of correlation. Then regression, meaning, regression lines, regression equation and estimation, properties of regression coefficient, relationship between correlation and regression coefficient. So possibility of getting the question from this chapter for 2 marks, meaning, definition of correlation, positive and negatives, simple, partial, multiple, linear, non-linear correlation, regression, problems on probable error, rank correlation, regression equation, regression coefficient, relationship between correlation and regression coefficient. Then possibility of getting the question for 4 marks, section B, problems on correlation without table, actual mean and assumed mean, rank correlation problem without type ranks, regression question without table, actual mean or assumed mean. Then for section C, 10 marks, possibility of getting the question, problems on Pearson correlation, actual mean and assumed mean, problems on rank correlation, problems on regression equation with estimation, actual mean and assumed mean. Then for section D, you are going to get the possible of getting the question like calculation of correlation coefficient under Pearson's or rank, actual mean and assumed mean. Then last unit 5, index number. Under the syllabus is meaning, uses, construction of index number, Fisher's ideal index number with time reversal and factor reversal test. Then construction of consumer price index, aggregative expenditure method and family budget method. So possible of getting the question from this module for 2 marks, meaning, definition, uses of index, consumer index number, then FIN ideality. Then for possibility of getting the question for 4 marks, section B, proof of TRT or FRT, simple problem on consumer price index method, aggregate expenditure of family budget method. For section C, 10 marks, problems on FIN with TRT and FRT, then problems on consumer price index number, aggregate expenditure and family budget method. Then for 8 marks, you will not going to get from this chapter for section D. The blueprint according to the syllabus wise, module 1, 1 question for section A, 1 question section B, 1 question section C and 1 question for section D. And then for module 2, 2 question might be it will going to get it for section A, one or two for section B, one or two for section C, and one question for section D. And module D, one question for section A, one question for section B, and section C and D they will not going to ask any question from the module 3. Then module 4, two question from question A, and one question for section B, two section for section C, and one question for section D. Module 5, one question for section A, one question for section B, and one question for section C. Thank you guys, all the best, and please do follow and subscribe my channel and share with your friends. Thank you. All the best for your upcoming exams.